Hey, good morning.
Let's go. Let's do this.
Everybody on stage, circle up, circle up.
Entire company.
Tayo na.
We have everyone, almost.
Circle. Yeah, and many, many circles, they leave a space for our ancestors. Yeah? So I'm just gonna make a real space and put what people would describe as semi-altar. We were gonna put an altar, but I think this will be good for now.
I always thought Dawn would be the one telling Larry Itliong's story on a national stage. She's no longer physically here, but her research is at the center now, being told in this musical. Joyful, playful, full of heart and fight. The way the heart of our people are. We're really funny, we can sing, but we can also endure a sustained struggle and win. Our history has shown us that, time and again. Larry Itliong, born October 25th in 1913, died on February 8th, 1977, at the age of 63. He was a Filipino immigrant, farm labor organizer, and civil rights activist who led the 1965 Great Delano Grape Strike and co-founded the United Farm Workers with Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, and a diverse group of Filipino, Mexican, African American, and other folks from different nationalities, sisters and brothers that came together to create the UFW. Dr. Dawn Mabalon was the first Pinay to graduate from Stanford University with a PhD in history. Her work on Filipino American history made her one of our community's leading historians and activists. She was born and raised in Stockton, California, and her research on Larry Itliong is at the heart of this musical about Larry and about the Filipino American migration to the United States during the 1920s to the 1960s.
Song one, take one. Take 2, 3, 4, and action.
There's very much so a lack of representation in the media for Filipinos, so we've gotten so used to not seeing ourselves that, when we're like, oh yeah, okay, they're playing that, they're playing this, but they're not playing Filipino.
We ache and we long for our stories to be told, and this is it. This is our chance, and so I think it is a big deal.
Telling this story now is so important. It's necessary, it's integral, it's vital, it's everything.
When people think about the labor movement, they're primarily thinking about Cesar Chavez, because that's what is being taught. Larry and the Filipino experience in California doesn't get a lot of shine.
To me, it opens the door to see really the full community, the full humanity of our people really coming together and how they weathered it all.
And so we're finally telling the story that it needs to be told of a man who is absolutely paramount to Filipinos' past, present, and future. And that's what this is about.
Isang bagsak is a unifying clap. So isa means one, and bagsak means down or fall down, right?
During this dream sequence, Larry is told about his birth during a typhoon. His mother and the village healers all knew that Larry would one day become the kind of person who always knew where he came from and how important community was.
Why are you smiling?
I'm winning.
You're bluffing.
Do you visit everyone on their 15th birthday?
Just yours.
Why me?
Because you're Larry Itliong. When you were born, something magical happened. Did your mother ever tell you? It was during typhoon season. There was a flood. I was there.
Strong-willed, he will find us peace in loud ways. This boy is nothing, he'll be poor like us. He will work in the field every night and day. Will you be quiet? He will be someone special, and he needs a strong name. Follow the ancestors, listen to their story. The seed will now grow into a mighty tree. My child will be so filled with love. No matter what or where he goes, he will always know just where he's from. A boy from Luzon. Follow the ancestors, listen to their story. This is a new life, they'll help guide this journey. You carry our hopes with you, brave, true, and mighty. Will be your story. Ayayatan ka, ayayatan ka. Black hair, brown skin, the
Filipinos are in musicals everywhere, right? But one thing that stood out for us was that we never tell our own stories, you know, and we're always left to fill those ambiguous Asian roles that we don't really feel connected to. And so I think this was a great idea for us to bring the Filipino community in particular who loves singing. And so why not a musical? And so that's why.
You know, I think as an artist, you start seeing yourself on stage in little bits and pieces, like maybe in the chorus here, most likely in a production of King and I or Miss Saigon, but it's so rare to be a part of a company and a creative team that is all Filipino.
Being a part of this project, to me, it's sort of the culmination of everything I stand for in my personal principles, everything I've come to appreciate about my upbringing growing up in California and being in proximity to such a wealth of knowledge of our migration experiences of the Filipino community here in the San Francisco Bay Area and in California. But I think what makes this story very unique is that it's particular to the experience of Filipinos in California and a generation that for a lot of people of my generation do not know this history, this knowledge. Yeah, so far it's been one of the sort of greatest theatrical experiences I've had, like learning and building a show from the ground up.
In the song Where I Want to Be, Larry is asking permission from his parents to travel to America. With a determination and dignity, he knows deep in his heart that he's going to graduate from college, become a lawyer, and come home to take care of his family.
Too young, too cool, too smart, that's what they call me. Don't be stubborn, Larry. You'll never break the mold. They say I'm much too loud here in the body, oh. Say I'll never break free. Just stay here and do what you're told, 'cause living in America is where I wanna be. Wanna be really me, finally you will see, in the land of the free. 'Cause living in America is where I wanna be. Wanna be really me, finally you will see, across the seas where I wanna be. Oh, la 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 la. Tito told me about the farms in Hawaii. I can finish high school and a university, and when I graduate I'll be a lawyer with a suit and briefcase. They'll call me Mr. Larry, sir, 'cause living in America is where I wanna be. Wanna be really me, finally you will see, in the land of the free. 'Cause living in America is where I wanna be. Wanna be really me, finally you will see, across the seas where I wanna be.
Prayed a dozen rosaries, asking God to help me see my baby is going away. I know when you were born, you survived the strongest storm. I knew this day would come. I can't stand to see you go. You're still my baby, Modesto. We'll pray for you, Lord, keep him safe. You don't need permission. If getting there's your mission, we'll stand by you. You're going away. In America is where I'm gonna be. Gonna be is where I'm gonna be.
There were so many special aspects about Larry's story that drew me to this project and to this piece. The moment I met Gayle and Bryan, I knew that they were a really special team, and I knew that they were on to something incredibly special, not just special, but incredibly necessary, incredibly valuable in terms of the types of stories that the world needs to hear in this moment. From day one, this room, whether it was on a Zoom room or in live space, was filled with purpose-driven artists. The thing that gets me most excited is that in my 20 years of being a professional theater artist, this is the first time I can say that I am part of an all-Filipino American project. Every single person touching this project is a Filipino American descent. And to be able to be a part of a piece that is not just for us, but also by us and about us is something I have never been able to experience before. And to give folks a little behind the scenes glimpse of what that looks like in a room, you know, we've spent 4 days together. And I guess over the course of those 4 days, we've spent 20 hours bringing this story to life. And every hour that passes comes with tears, laughter, hugs, connection, discoveries, life-affirming lessons in a way that I've never experienced in a theatrical process before. And I think that's the special and new thing that this entire room is feeling. That is the effect of being in a room that is for, by, and about you.
In the song I Promise You, Larry is serenading his sweetheart, Maria, and telling her that he's leaving for America. This scene directly comes from the book Journey for Justice, written by Dr. Don Mabalon and Gayle Romasanta.
I've got something to tell you, and my heart just can't conceal. But I've always told you the truth. I'm afraid of how you'll feel. I'm leaving for where it's brand new. I want you to know I'll take care of you. Maybe I'll be a lawyer. Does that sound good? I wanna fight for the voiceless. I learn the language of the powerful and give us all choices. I promise Maria, this is what I will do. I promise I'll come back for you.
I don't know what to tell you. How am I supposed to feel? Now you're going far away. Was our love even real? So you're leaving, what am I to do? Just sit around and do nothing and wait for you. Maybe I'll be a teacher, a principal too. I see my students, all of them smart. I'm giving them the knowledge with all of my heart, inspiring our people, our children. You will see, this could all be for you and me.
I promise I'll come back for you someday.
How can you be sure you'll come back?
Because of you, I know in my heart you'll stay.
Please stay. Promise you will take me far away.
Your thought I will never let you. Together we're unstoppable. I do this because of you. Leaving for where it's brand new. I want you to know I'll take care of you. Maybe I'll be a lawyer. Does that sound good?
So good.
I want to fight for the voiceless, unlearn the language of the powerful, and give us all choices. I promise, Maria, this is what I will do.
I promise I will wait for you. Oh, 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 for you.
Oftentimes, I think in the media, we see Asian men portrayed as like, almost like an accessory. You know, they're the comic relief, or they're never featured in this masculine light. And it's fun to be able to show a different side of what is typically shown.
And I think it's refreshing to be able, Gayle actually in the first rehearsal showed us a picture of this really fine-ass, strong farm.
Hello.
And just the back. We don't see his face. You just see his back.
You just see his...
And that's all we need to see. Hello.
But that was the first time, at least for me, to see it put in that light. And it was like, yes, we can be that. We're strong guys that have a whole hell of a lot of swagger, right?
So very few opportunities as Asian men that we get to actually perform with swagger. And it's so fun to feel sexy on stage. Right.
This scene is about Larry Itliong landing for the first time in the United States, and he meets Filipino Americans and he begins to realize their conditions and how they live in America. But he also notices that they're all hardworking, good-looking, and guapo.
Do you have money? I'm all out of work. Could use $5, I'm hungry. I'll pay you back, I'm sure that I will get picked to work in Alaska at a cannery. We work in canneries and restaurants, can only get jobs that the whites don't want. If you have brown skin, you can't win here in America.
I was in college, studied hard every day. Had to quit school to earn money.
The work is so hard, my back always hurts, but I send money home for my family.
That sounds better than plowing carabao. Look, your shoes shine like the sun. What did you say? Things can't all be that bad here in America.
Make it work, looking smooth. We're good looking and funny and guapo. We make it work, looking smooth. We're hardworking and guapo again.
Whites get mad, they say we steal all the work, but they don't do the jobs we are doing. My back hunched for hours, no break from the sun. Freezing all night, this is crazy.
Go up and down California, to Washington, even
It's so important for Filipino American communities to support this project because there are so few stories that focus on our experiences and our histories, and specifically that are written by our own communities.
It's a community-centered process. We're sharing values. We're sharing, love of our culture, love of our history. We're sharing this passion in telling our stories that haven't been told. We're sharing this value in uplifting our voices as Filipino Americans and our talents and our artistic excellence.
It's like the kapwa, right? It's your identity is not based on yourself, but based in your community.
That it takes a community to come together. It takes people from all walks of life with different experiences and different expertises to unite and put together this beautiful piece of art which tells our stories.
In the song Here, Larry returns to the bunkhouse after losing his fingers in an accident. This is when he gets his nickname, Seven Fingers, and his life changes forever.
I heard it was a deal gone bad, or did he fight over a dame? No, it was over a card game. Are you sure he was to blame? He saved Delano from a bombing. He went after those guys who beat up Antonio. This all sounds like baloney. He was shot. I have 7 fingers. It was a trade. I jumped out at Montana, and now I am maimed. Ooh, 7 fingers. Ooh, 7 fingers. Ooh, 7 fingers. Ooh, 7 fingers. My hand like my heart, or whatever remains. If I held you again, it wouldn't feel the same. Slipping through my fingers, the dream I had. My mind, my strength, I'm not the same. That boy is no longer. That boy is no longer. No, that boy is no longer here. Will you treat me differently? I still have my voice. I still can fight. Do I have a choice? I can still dance. You better hide your ladies. They'll give me a chance. I'll find romance. That boy is no longer. That boy is no longer. No, that boy is no longer here. That boy is no longer. That boy is no longer. Son of a bitch, he is no longer me.
It's actually surreal to be imagining what it feels like to be in the Filipino culture as you perform it. And ironically, it doesn't feel natural because we haven't been able to do it. We're singing about sinigang, adobo. I'm like, I know these things, but I'm like, how do I translate that on stage? And it's like so new.
It feels like there's like a familial aspect about it that I feel like you don't get in a lot of other experiences and casts. That is just like we don't get a chance to do this a lot because there is not enough Filipino, original work out there. So to do it is like, it feels really special, and like you have a connection that's deeper than just being like new work colleagues. Like there's a family feeling that comes with it.
Yeah, and I think telling the story of Larry and the men that he was able to inspire, you also have to tell the story of the women, because there were women involved, and none of this could have happened without their support and their creativity and being able to stand on stage with these incredibly talented women and like use our voices and connect. There's actually a part of the song at the end where we're kind of just singing on our own, a little a cappella, the orchestra drops out, and we just kind of have to look in each other's eyes and feel it out. And I remember for our first rehearsal, we didn't know each other, but we just kind of locked in, and we were like, we're doing this, right? We're doing this, we got this, and it was amazing.
There's so much swagger, it's the best. I'm looking around, and I don't know, I feel so proud.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, like to play Izzy, to be such a vocal part of this uprising, it's just so empowering, and it's just like something that, across so many different time periods stands to be like a powerful thing, I guess. Like this is a story from decades ago, but now like to embody that and embody this person is very empowering.
This next scene was inspired by Dr. Don Mabalan's article, Up to My Elbows in Rice, which was about Filipino American women pre-1965 in the United States, specifically in the state of California. It investigates and furthers Filipino American women's stories in a story in history that is usually only about Filipino American men.
We sought adventure but found men. We found a whole lot of men. They're everywhere, and to them we symbolize home. We're sisters, mothers, and wives, the home that they left behind. We are the food, we are what we cook for our families. Don't burn the house down with your anger. Direct it with action. Holy American Mary, thy will be done. And the sweet Santo Niño, pray for us sinners now at the hour of our death. This will be won. See, I believe in this cause. What am I doing in the kitchen? Dr. King, Malcolm X, they were never asked to make adobo. Come on. Nye and Pai, they worked so hard. They work these fields, but we still have nothing. So I'll yell and I'll scream till you listen to me. I have experiences. I've read and studied. I know about the bombings in Stockton's Little Manila and the Watsonville riots. How can I stay quiet? I can't stand here keeping still and cook my life away. Izzy, I've seen this before. I'm gonna walk out the door. You just don't understand. What's all this cooking for? The kitchen is the heart and the marching band. Cooking will help me find justice for my family. We're gearing up for the fight. I'd strike and study at night. We always knew we were right. You need to see this is how we win together. I don't care. I should be holding a picket sign. Maria Clara isn't here. Go find her somewhere else. She's like the salmon head in the synagogue. Can't we just go and strong? They'll eat her up all at once. Americano Mary, loud voice, loud movement, and a sharp tongue. Don't burn the house down with your hands.
I'm very excited for the potential that exists beyond this moment. Now that we've kind of hatched a little egg of a piece, now we are in an incredibly exciting moment where we can bring on new family members to help raise this tiny little organism and help it become this beautiful thing that can make a huge impact on the world. To make that happen, we need community and collaboration. So I hope you'll join us.
This is our moment. This is the moment where people of all ages, but especially children and young people, can go to a theater and see people who look like them on stage, telling the story, the true story of our community's resilience, our community's ability to fight against oppression, and our abilities to build coalitions and start a movement. And so I think that for Filipino Americans specifically, this is so important because we really have to share to the world that we are no longer the forgotten Asian Americans, but rather that we are the visible Filipino Americans who have always been here as part of American history. And now we're here to show the world that Filipino American history is American history.
We knew early on that we needed to write a protest song for Larry, but we actually created the song last.
So what you see on stage is the night of September 7th, 1965, when Filipino American farm workers invited growers to their meeting to negotiate their contracts. However, the growers didn't show, so the community was left to debate, to talk, and to vote on what they should do next.
What if this is the last chance to win a better wage?
We're not getting any younger, the time is right now. What about our families? We all need to eat.
Hey, we can still negotiate.
I'll negotiate with my knife.
Everyone, we need to be united in our strategy. I move that we vote to go on strike.
No. We know what happens if we do that.
We go to jail.
No. This is dangerous. Nobody's gonna.
Larry, what do you think?
We are not poor, uneducated. We're determined and dignified, fighting for our right to live a better life. And this nation, the supposed land of the free, it will never be given to us. Don't you see how the white man treats us? How tough they are on us. We can show them that we can be just as tough and just as mean. I want those in favor to raise your hands. Follow the ancestors, listen to their stories. I see you see me, and you see we listen to each other's stories. Can't you see, this is who we are? Our rights will never be handed to us. They must be one.
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 I see you, you see me.
Together we tell our story.
Can't you see? Can't you see who we are?
We must fight for our human rights. United we stand strong and march for truth, march for peace, march for hope, march as one, fight as one family.
I want those in favor to raise your hands.
To be continued.
Then we grab our signs.
It's important to support this this musical because it brings together art and activism, and that can impact so many different parts of our community. The educational community, for example, students, politics, artists, funders. And speaking of funders, we just want to give a big shout out and appreciation to the San Francisco Arts Commission and to Theater Bay Area for their generous support and for believing in this project and in us and the Filipino community. Without them, we would never been able to tell this story.
And we would love to thank our partners, specifically Brava Theater and Soma Pilipinas,
Pinay Pinoy Educational Partnerships,
Broadway Barkada, and the Filipino American National Historical Society. So please join us. We need your support. Come on this journey with us.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to view the preview of the songs in Larry, a New Musical. My name is Allyson Tintiangco-Cubales, and I'm a professor of ethnic studies at San Francisco State University and the founder of Pinay and Pinoy Educational Partnerships, AKA PEP. We're one of the co-sponsors for today's event. I'm zooming in today from a land stewarded by Muwekma Ohlone people, a land where much of Larry Itliong's story took place, a land where much of Dr. Don Boholano Mabalon's life took place. Along with acknowledging this land, I also want to bring in Larry and Don, the ancestors who inspired so much of what you all just witnessed. So before I introduce all the amazing Pinays and Pinoys who will be joining us for today's panel, I just want to begin by saying how honored I am to be part of this project and to witness this historic moment. When Gayle Romasanta approached me about this project, I honestly had no idea what to expect. But for the past 3 years, ever since Don's passing, Gayle has continued the work with so much passion and love that when Gayle called to share this amazing idea, I knew that it was going to be epic. And as you all just saw, it was epic. So Don loved musicals. And what's so wonderful about this is that her and I have got to experience so many musicals together, from watching Miss Saigon to Rent to In the Heights to Phantom of the Opera, and of course, Hamilton over and over again. And we saw lots of Filipinos, Philippine X's in those casts. I'm sure many of you have too. And oftentimes when we go and watch these shows, we try to look for that one Pinay, that one Pinoy, that one Pinex. And we get really excited when we see them. And actually, it's interesting because some of the performers that you saw in the video are those performers that we saw on Broadway. So each time we go and watch these Philippine X's, we see that most of them are performing other people's stories. And sometimes they're in the background. So I know that Don is watching with us and watching this panel right now. And she's probably up there with all of our ancestors, especially the ones that we've recently lost. And I'm sure they're feeling all kinds of ways. They're feeling all kinds of pride, because for many of us, this is the first time that we are seeing people from Broadway who look like us, who are finally telling our story, the story of Filipino Americans. So I'm really excited to be able to co-host this panel today. And on our panel, we have Gayle Romasanta, the writer of Larry, a musical, Bryan Pangilinan, the composer of the songs, those phenomenal songs that we just heard, Billy Bustamante, the director, Melvign Badiola, the lead producer, and Christopher Sotelo, the video director, and I think had some other involvement that he'll share as well. I am also really honored to be co-hosting this talkback panel with Dr. Kevin Nadal, who is serving as a producer of this project. Hey, Kevin, are you there?
Hi, Aunt Allyson. I am so overwhelmed having just watched that. How amazing was this production? I mean, it's been such a journey since I first heard the first song that Gayle had sent me to listen to many, many months ago, and to see how far the musical has come is just really, really overwhelming. I just want to also, thank you for sharing the piece that you did about Dawn and her love of musicals, and knowing that musicals can be a way for us to tell our stories. Musicals can be an instrument for us to learn our history, especially a history that is so often not spoken about or taught in the classroom or in our families. And so, I want to again honor Don and Manong Larry and Manong Philip and Manong Pete and all these other folks who fought for our rights, and for us, not just as Filipinx Americans, to have the rights and opportunities that we do today, but really for all people of marginalized groups to be able to have their voices heard, and to be able to make that systemic change here in these lands that are now known as the United States. My name is Kevin Nadal. I am a professor of psychology at the City University of New York. I am so honored to co-host this with you today at the Allyson. I'm also the vice president of the Filipino American National Historical Society, which is also a proud community co-sponsor of this event. And I wanted the audience members here to recognize that this is a workshop. This is an opportunity for you all to share your feedback with us. So as you were watching this, if you have any comments, reactions, things that touched you, things that moved you, even suggestions for what things that can be done in a different way. And we'd love to hear them. So feel free to write in the comments box right now. Hopefully you've already been doing that throughout this entire event, so that we can, really take that information and move it towards the production itself. There will be another workshop coming up, and our creative team will talk about that later on. And this is just the start of our road to hopefully Broadway. So with that, I want to introduce or get reactions from our creative team, and to hear, what it was like for all of this to come to fruition. So I guess I'll start with a very simple question, and that is to ask each of you, what are you feeling right now in one word, and maybe one sentence to explain what that feeling is, right? So what are you feeling right now in one word? Let's start off with Gayle.
I'm feeling release. It's like I really want to cry. It's just release. It's a mix of grief and healing at the same time, because this story isn't just a story, but it's so deeply embedded in my own life, my own personal life, and also working with Dawn's material. So it's definitely a release of so many different layers of emotions that just really are beyond articulation for me.
Thank you, Gayle. Let's hear from Bryan next. What are you feeling?
I am feeling the word is overflowing. It's also in the musical. I'm overflowing with so much pride, so much joy, so many tears and emotions, and just love for this community that we're all part of and that we're creating together. And I'm seeing in all the comments, all the love from you all. Thank you so much. Just overflowing.
Thank you, Bryan. And yes, the comments are so wonderful. And I think a big part of it is that people are seeing for the first time Filipino people on stage. So they're loving it. So thank you all for commenting. Melvin, how about you?
Oh man, I was crying from the get, and I was literally on the floor, but I'm just super proud of being able to just share this this project of ours. It's just been us three, me, Gayle, and Bryan for a couple of years, and we're just so glad that other wonderful folks have gone on board, and we're able to share this this passion project with you all. So yeah, I'm gonna go back on the floor.
And let's hear from one of the folks that you did bring on Broadway Barcadas, Billy Bustamante, as director. Billy, how are you feeling?
Hi, everyone. I am feeling so many things. So many words come to mind. I'm going to try and distill. Of course, I feel proud. Of course, I feel grateful to be, a participant in this process. But the biggest word I feel is hungry. I feel hungry. And of course, because any kind of Filipino gathering means food. So I feel hungry for the community and the celebration that I used to have with these people in person. But more so, I'm reminded, watching this back reminds me of the process to get to those days of filming, and the 3 days we had together yielded so much growth, so much discovery of the words on the page, the notes on the page. It makes me hungry for more. If we can get this far in 3 days, it really makes me hungry for the next process and the next opportunity to make this piece even better and grow it and bring it further into life.
Oh, that's so wonderful, Billy. How about you, Chris, our videographer, genius? How are you feeling?
If I were to choose a word, I would say going into this, my word was nervous. I was feeling nervous, but now I would say the word that I'm feeling is just full. I feel so full. It was just amazing to see brown bodies filling up that screen and filling up that stage, and I don't know, I can count on one hand maybe when I've ever seen that. This might be just the one. I'm trying to rack my brain, but I feel so full. Just that's the only word I could come up with right now.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Those one words are really powerful. And I can only imagine what it's like because you all are the creators of this work. And so I just want to say thank you. We have so much gratitude for all of you and all the work that you put into making this happen. And so that brings me to this question that I have for all of you. Like, what's the origin story of all of this? Like, how did this all begin? And I'll start off with Gayle, and then we'll bring in some of the other folks who helped make this happen.
You know, the origin story for this is, of course, it started when, you know, Don and I started working on A Journey for Justice, The Life of Larry Itliong. And around the same time the book came out, Melvin and Bryan were in the West Coast premiere of Allegiance. And, you know, Melvin had an extra ticket and he gave me a ticket to go see it. We were blown away, and we started talking very shortly thereafter about what it would be like if we could see our own story on the stage like that, and a historical story. And so, for those of you who don't know, Allegiance is a Japanese American story. And Melvin and Bryan can speak more to that, but that's where it really started. And all of us have actually all worked together in theater. I've worked with Melvin and Bryan for over a decade now in the community, and definitely working within theater. And so this was not something new for us. Musically, this is not definitely something. I mean, the music is new, but for both Bryan and myself, and Melvin too, working in musicals and working within music is something that is always a passion for all of us. So it just really definitely made sense. And I think we're almost at 3 years, right? We've been 3 years working on this.
Yeah, for me it was I was actually working I still work over at Bravo Theater as their education director. We were doing a musical about Cesar Chavez's life, another UFW leader, and Filipinos were mentioned, and this was like in 2018. And then around that time, I think after we finished the production, the book came out, and you know, it's just like, something seems to be a brewing. And then, yeah, like Gayle said, Bryan and I were doing Allegiance, the Bay Area premiere. And I think it was when after we did Sits Probe, it was just like, everyone's kind of like, all right, this thing is happening. We're like looking around, and me and Bryan are like, wow, there's some really, really talented Filipinos here. Why don't we have a story of our own to tell, right, Bryan? And we were like, have you read this book that Don and Ate Don and Gayle wrote? And so, yeah, I'm sure Bryan can speak more about how the book came to us. I mean, in terms of like how it just jumped off the the pages, but I had to get us three in a room somehow, some way, together, maybe at a bar or at a wine bar or something. But it for me it happened after curtain, and we were outside in the lobby, and we're just like, I need to talk to you guys. We need to set a date up, and here we are 3 years later. Bryan?
And if sorry, my sound cut out, but if I can also jump in and say that when when Gayle introduced the book to us, to me and Melvin, when I was reading it, like every scene in the book, I was like, that's a song. That's a song in a musical. The book is like, serving as our guiding light as we write this and we write the music. And so Gayle and I just started writing. And I think the first song we wrote was actually at Brava Theater in March of 2020, right before the pandemic happened. And it was the opening song. And from there, Gayle and I were just writing through Zoom, and just brainstorming and just getting melodies down and words down. And I do want to give a shout out to our amazing music director, Kana, and to our dramaturg, Camia, who really took Gayle and my ideas and melodies and songs to the next level. And you all saw, but like we're infusing styles and inspirations of music that we've all grown up with into this musical. It's definitely musical theater, but we're infusing Filipino folk instruments. Shout out to Herna Cruz-Louie for her expertise there. We're fusing in, Joe Bataan influences of, 60s doo-wop, incorporating rock and just all of these wonderful influences that we grew up with. And I think that's really the fun and the joy of creating the stories, that we're able to make a uniquely Filipinx musical, which is amazing. And I'm just so giddy about it.
I'm super giddy too, Bryan. When I think about this, I was like dancing to some of the songs and then hella crying. Like my face was wet, like I had to put new makeup on to actually participate today, right? And so I think about the influences, and I can hear the musical influences. And then some points when you all were talking, I noticed that you were also being influenced by different kinds of research. And so maybe you all could speak to that too. Gayle, I know that you mentioned a few times, like you used Don's articles, you used other kinds of things to really shape, the picture. Are there particular things that you want to bring up or that you want to share with us?
I think as a writer, you pick up a lot of different things in how people talk, or even in the curriculum, right? So we have curriculum for Journey for Justice, The Life of Larry Itliong, that Dr. Allyson Tintiangco-Cubales worked on, and she worked on with a group of wonderfully talented master teachers. There's Aldrich Sabak out of Stockton. There is Daisy, I'm not sure where Daisy teaches.
Daisy Lopez at Longfellow Elementary.
Oh my gosh, Daisy Lopez. And then there was four of you.
Eileen Pagtikan from Itliong, Veracruz.
Yes, so they had created the curriculum that's a companion to Journey for Justice. And so one of the things that they teach, that PEP teaches students, is that farm workers are determined and dignified. We're not looking down at them. This is like, they're not poor, they're uneducated. And so a lot of that, you heard that in the protest song, we're determined and dignified. So that phrase is woven throughout. And then also a lot of the research that, I've read that we're coming across, we have to remember that when we're looking at Larry's life in the early years, he's coming into a community in the United States that is absolutely young. They were a community of men, mostly men, who had no elders. And so, yes, they were monoms to us. Yes, we see them as older, monoms when we see them in the media or when we see pictures. But when you look at the snapshots of the historical photographs, and shout outs to Fonz National, Fonz Stockton, for having these photos and archiving them, and for us having these that Dawn had actually curated for the book that we were able to use for Larry and for inspiration for Larry. So that's something to think about, is to remember that they were determined and dignified. And something also is that they were really sophisticated. You may not see this now, but politically speaking and strategically speaking, our modern generation, absolutely sophisticated politically. And so, and you'll see that more in the second reiteration of this workshop. And, American Mary was such a fun song to do. That was based on Dr. Dawn Mabalam's article, Up to My Elbows in Rice. And so we use that. I use that as inspiration of the interviews that she had done with other Panays who had lived pre-1965 in the United States, and what it was like to be a woman surrounded by men, and being their sister, mother, wife, community member. What did that look like? And so that's really a story of, here's the women, and here's another younger woman who's growing up within these older women who have a lot more experience than her, but this one is really woke and ready to protest. And what does that older generation have to say? So that really has Dawn within it also. And then also Dylan Delvo from not from Fonz, but from Dylan Delvo from Little Manila Rising, the executive director in Stockton there. He wrote a beautiful, beautiful eulogy for Dawn. And I actually was inspired by that too. And it's a little bit in American Mary.
Yeah, I have to say though, Gayle, you're making a scholar dream come true. Like because we write this stuff and who knows who reads it, right? And so it's amazing to be able to see Don's work, and the stuff that we were able to develop for curriculum in education, to actually see it on stage was so beautiful. The whole idea of being dignified and determined actually comes from the ways in which Don and I both felt our fathers were treated, being working class men, working class Pinoys. And so those terms and hearing them being sung is so powerful. I just want to thank you for that. So along with this amazing trio of people who made this happen, they've also added some people to help support this work, to make it really come true, right? And so I'd like to bring on Billy Bustamante. Are you there, Billy? I'm going to try to bring you up to the spotlight.
Hi, here I am. Somewhere. Hi.
There you are. Okay, Billy. I'm just really excited that you're here. I met you in New York many years ago during one of the shows, the Lumipad shows that Broadway Barkada put on. And I'm wondering, how did it feel to join this team for this particular project?
Okay. How can I speak about this without getting overly emotional? I remember meeting this amazing trio thanks to a connection made by Kevin and founding Barkada member Jeju Makapugai. Thanks to you both. Because they both thought that this might be a collaboration worth starting. And we, Broadway Barkada, myself and my two co-founders, Liz Casasola, Bryan Jose, we're all New York City-based, East Coast-based, and we've basically been a New York City organization. So the idea of collaborating with Filipinx artists on the West Coast has always been a dream of ours. So when this meeting happened, we were obviously so excited. I remember a moment when Mel, Bryan, Gayle, and I were kind of talking about the possibility of working together. And after half an hour of just laughing and discovering how much on the same page we were, not just as artists, but as humans, I remember everyone kind of saying I've lost track of who's interviewing who here, but I want in this job, I want in this opportunity. And I felt like the rest is history. That was kind of the seed of how the rest of the collaboration went. I can't say enough that, when leading up, going through this pandemic, this past year and a half, and, being a citizen of the theater industrial complex and being a part of an industry that was looking inward and discovering so many things about how the way we have always made theater didn't work for so many people. I was always, it was always so important to me to find a way to make theater post-pandemic in a different way, in a healthier way, in a more collaborative way, in a more honest way. And to have this be my first dip back into the theatrical creative process has been the biggest gift. I have never been in a room that was so collaborative, so healthy, so joy-filled, and so full of care for each other, not just as co-workers, as fellow artists, but as fellow humans. And to me, that was something that felt so uniquely Filipino. And it's a feeling that I hope this musical can teach to everyone.
We're so happy that you're part of this project, Billy, and bringing all of your talent, both being on stage and then also now as this director for this project. So really appreciate that. I'm going to bring on another colleague. Chris, are you available to jump on there? There we go.
Hello, I'm here.
Yeah, Chris, I'm really excited that you are part of this, and actually watching this video really gave me chills, to be honest. I did not know I thought we were just going to listen to a bunch of songs and it was cool, right? But I had no idea that I was going to have an experience watching the video. And I just want to say thank you and just I'm just an admirer of your work. I'm a fan now. Yeah. But I want to know how did you feel about joining this team? And then what was it like creating the video for this project?
Yeah. Oh, wow. There's a lot to say. I gotta say this. If you could be a fly on the wall in our first creative meeting, when we all finally got to see each other beyond the Zoom screen, it was straight up like family. Like honestly, we came in, we were breaking bread, drinking wine, eating adobo. We were eating adobo, and Shanghai lumpia was in a whole pan full, and it was like we just were like long lost family, seeing each other again, getting in a room and then but being creative at the same time. And I don't know, I want to express my love for this team first of all. I think I have had such an amazing experience working with y'all and hopefully like funneling your vision down into something beautiful for everyone to enjoy. So by way of involvement, I actually how I got involved in this project was interesting because it was like, now we're coming out of the pandemic a little bit, but this was during pandemic times. Bryan had reached out to me and my wife, Mara, who you saw in the musical as well. She was playing Maria. She was on the ensemble. And he asked us if we could record a demo for this musical. And I'm like, oh, is that the musical we talked about at that bar that one time, a long time ago? He's like, yeah, you guys want to do this duet? We're like, sure. So I sang this duet with her in the basement of our house. And then I sent it off thinking nothing of it, right? And then a couple months later, they're like, hey, I think we're gonna move forward with this. And then we started having these Zoom meetings. And I told them like, actually, I would love if my involvement were to not be on the music side of singing. I'll leave that to Mara and the actual singers. But for me, I've got this skill set. I'm a professional filmmaker. That's what I do. And may I come on board to use these talents for this musical, right? And I kind of had the presence of mind to know that was like kind of like the first third of the pandemic when we would do these Zoom meetings. And I was thinking at the time, everyone was doing theater via Zoom, and it was the only way we could really consume theater at the time or consume entertainment. And I had the presence of mind to think, somewhere down the line, people are going to have Zoom fatigue. Now, is there a way where we can do this differently to make a splash for what this musical and this history really deserves? And my wife and I, in that middle of the pandemic, she was my shelter in place partner. So we were just creating content together. I was sharpening my video skills there, and I brought all that skill set to this table, and we kept kind of pushing the boundaries. Every idea that we had, I just kept kind of like pushing into it and seeing if we could expand it more. And that's actually what ended up happening with me and Billy on the actual days of shooting. Billy would turn to me and say, Sotelo, is there a world where we can, move the camera down and then spin around? And I'm like, yes, there is. Yes, there is a world. This is the world. So that's what it was like collaborating with Billy.
Okay, I just have to chime in like uber quickly. I wish that everyone gets a collaborative partner like Chris Sotelo, because the yes and combined with the artistry and the structure is something that we would not have been able to do what we have done without. So love you, brother.
Love you right back.
I'm feeling all the love. I am so happy to be part of this team. I also have to keep us on time. So we only have a few minutes left, y'all. I know we're on Pinoy Pinay time, but I want to know, where can we go from here? So what are the next steps for all of us? How can we support this musical even more? Let's start off with Billy Bustamante. What can we do now to support this musical?
Well, you have all taken the first step by being here and watching our first sharing. So thank you. You are officially at the Larry table. You are officially in the Larry family, and we're all eating artistic adobo together. So welcome, eat up. I want to talk a little bit about community theater. And I feel like that term, especially as someone who works on Broadway, has developed a bit of a dirty connotation. I feel like it's come to mean unprofessional, unpolished, unskilled, unmotivated. And I want to maybe reframe that word and empower everyone to do it and to think about community theater a little differently, because I feel like what we've just participated in is community theater at its finest. And I don't mean non-professional theater. I feel like we are striving to create a piece of art that is professional, excellent, of the highest caliber, of the highest quality, but also firmly rooted in being of service to the community. And I mean that in every sense of the word. I mean like the Filipinx artistic community. I mean the Filipino American community at large, and also the American community. So I think one thing I would ask anyone who believes in what we're doing today, find someone and bring them to our table. I feel like one of the best things about Filipino culture is growing up is that if we shared a meal with you, you were family. You were someone's tito, tita, kuya, ate. And we want to, again, build our own table and know that regardless of where you come from, what your path has been to get there, you are welcome at our table, and you can participate in how we create this piece and make it for you. So I want you to know that what we're doing here is for you, literally everyone watching today, and the person sitting next to you. So I hope that you can help us do that. And for better, more concrete ways to do that, I'll pass it off to my friends.
Bryan, what can we do? Concrete,
Billy, I love that. So www.larrythemusical.com. As Kevin said earlier at the beginning, we're still doing 2 more workshops next year, and scheduled in preparation for a world premiere in 2023. So you all have the opportunity to give us feedback, let us know what you like, what can be improved. If you have any ideas on the music or on the story, please reach out to website. We'll have a way for you to get engaged. You can also support us through funding. We'll be launching a fundraising campaign after this premiere of the workshop, and more details to come. But so many ways to get engaged. And again, this is part of. I just want to jump in really quickly, Kevin, and say, I just feel really grateful to be part of a nationwide movement of Philippine excellence. We have on the West Coast Bindlestiff Studio. We have Broadway Barkada on the East Coast. Composers like Paulo Tirol. I want to give them a shout out because we are all part of this, and we're bringing up Philippine excellence to the world. And so there's so many ways to get involved. To join us.
Thank you, Bryan. Gayle, Melvin, what we got? Gayle.
One of the things that you can do if you're so inspired is to talk to you. This is exactly what Dawn would have said too, when she had taught me this, whenever she would speak to groups and they're so inspired about learning about their history, is to go home and just talk to your grandparents or talk to your mom and dad or relatives or other folks who know about your history. That's all you need to do to learn more about yourself. And once you know yourself a lot more, the more you feel like you have more choices, and the more choices you have, the more voice you have. And so this is really what we want to do. We're joining the movement. We're coming together. We're seeing our story, our American history, our Filipino American history being told. And we want to inspire all of you to do the same. The technology is on our side. So run with this, see this, we're all inspiring each other. If you're a teacher, come on board, talk to PEP. We have curriculum. So there's so many ways to have a learning community, a nationwide learning community, a nationwide inspirational community for Philippine Americans to really be engaged and to forward our people, honestly.
Melvin, bring us home.
Yeah, and you know what? I just really want to personally thank each one of you guys. I mean, you guys already did it. You guys have already started. We've already had that talk. That way I had the talk with Bryan and Gayle. And so now you are a part of it. And we do hope that this inspires you to have those conversations with your elders, to know the history, but also to share, right? To share our history with everyone else. And if you really want to keep in touch with us, we're on Instagram. I know y'all are always scrolling and liking. So that's a great way for you to be updated. Another way is to just reach out to us. If there's something that you really, really enjoyed or you really, really hated, shoot, let us know. We are all open. You are part of that conversation, right? And finally, just stay put. We have so much more to show you guys, and we can't wait to have you guys all back in the theater together with each other real soon. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Melvin. Thank you, Gayle. Thank you, Bryan. Thank you, everybody. You know, it's fitting that this premiered during Filipino American History Month, and to reiterate what Gayle had mentioned, that Filipino American history is American history. And even more importantly, our family histories are American history. It's the great Dr. Fred Cordova who once mentioned that every Filipino American has a story. And if we all tell our story, then we collectively can put together what is missing in our textbooks and in our community histories. We have to talk to our elders before it's too late. Do oral histories with folks, grab a recorder, make sure that that history isn't lost. Because if we don't have our histories to share with each other, then we don't have anything to share to future generations. And so, you know, I just again want to thank everybody for coming here today. I am amazed at how a community like this can come together to support each other. I think this is a really exemplar demonstration of the power of Kapwa, and the idea that you and I are all connected in some way, shape, or form, that the greater spirit and ancestors bring us together, and how we can all achieve greatness if we all work together. So I'm going to hand it over to Allyson to take us home.
Kevin, thank you so much. I just think about how timely it is that we got to launch this in October. Filipinx American History Month, not Heritage, History Month. Don always pushed us to say History Month because this is the month where we tell our stories. I just want to bring Don back into the space for just a second. As much as Don loved musicals, she loved history, specifically ethnic studies, which is the history that is told by people of color in the first person. She said, I have devoted my life's work to sharing the stories of people and communities at the margins of the American story. And this is what you all did. You shared our story that has been at the margins. And for this, we are eternally grateful. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate all of you. And we hope to see you in the future in our next few things that we'll be doing with Larry, a new musical. Thank you.